Revealed, 7 Miraculous Truths of Divine Quantum Physics and Prophetic Spirituality. In the heart of a quaint English village, where emerald hills kissed the sky and doves cooed under chapel eaves, lived Sarah, a devoted mother and Sunday school teacher. Her world thrived on nurturing her little ones and spreading faith through the gentle cadence of prayer. Yet, as whispers of laughter filled the Sunday chapel, an unease crept into her heart. Her husband, David, once full of life, now lay frail and fragile, a victim to a grave illness that doctors deemed terminal, a lost cause. Yet, Sarah clung to hope. It was one evening, as twilight left a golden brush across the sky, that Sarah stumbled upon a hidden manuscript within the dusty shelves of the chapel library. The title shimmered in reverence: 7 Miraculous Truths of Divine Quantum Physics and Prophetic Spirituality. Sarah's heartbeat quickened. Could this hold the keys to her prayers? Each page whispered secrets where science brushed against divinity, the miraculous and the rational intertwined in stunning harmony. As she read, vivid stories of faith swept across her mind. A child miraculously healed in a moment of prayer, a couple reunited against all odds, and even stones bursting forth with light, a divine dance of quantum truths that ignited her spirit. With each miraculous truth, pulses of energy coursed through her, challenging her understanding, yet drawing her closer to a reality beyond comprehension. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the annual church retreat loomed, the village gathered, hearts united in fervent prayer for David, the air thick with determination and fear. Yet, within the embrace of hope, skeptics emerged. How can we believe in what we cannot see? They murmured, doubt creeping into the fold. Sarah felt the weight of isolation. The vibrant community she once cherished now felt like shifting sand. Despair loomed like storm clouds, yet she clung to the manuscript, seeking solace in the promised truths. The last night of prayer felt like an electric charge, a gathering that was no longer about David alone, but a battle for faith and understanding. The congregation lifted their voices, tremors of hope racing through the air. Amidst heightened anticipation, she sensed a wave of energy sweeping through the chapel, crackling with divine presence. In that moment, the atmosphere shifted. A hush fell over the congregation. The very walls seemed to hold their breath. With a sudden gasp, David, once a shadow of himself, stood to testify. The chapel erupted as light shimmered around him, a sacred spectacle, challenging their doubts, revealing a manifestation that intertwined faith and science in ways they had yet to explore. As the village rejoiced in a miracle that splintered their fears, questions lingered like whispers in the night. Had their unyielding belief summoned divine grace? Or had the quantum revelations truly birthed the extraordinary? Uncertainty draped over the celebration, leaving Sarah caught between joy and wonder. What other miracles lay in wait? What other truths might they uncover? The sacred narrative was far from complete, and the unfolding mystery beckoned them all to venture deeper into the realms of faith. As dawn broke in the quaint village, a warm golden light filtered through the cottage windows, illuminating the tender expressions of family reunited. Sarah stood in the kitchen, heart swelling with gratitude as she prepared breakfast. David, now vibrant and alive, moved beside her, his hands steady and strong. His laughter echoed like the joyous melody of morning birds, a sound Sarah had yearned for in the stillness of those long, lonely nights. Yet, amidst the glow of their shared happiness, shadows of doubt still flickered within her mind. How could the world so quickly shift from despair to hope? The manuscript lay open on the table, the edges frayed from her ceaseless examination. The truths it held beckoned to her, whispering promises of realms untouched by human understanding. "Sarah, you're lost in thought again," David said, his voice a soothing balm. He reached for her hand, pulling her back to the present. "What weighs on your heart?" She sighed gently. "The miracle was immense, David. But what comes next? What do we do with this gift?" David's eyes sparkled with a knowing light. Perhaps we share it. We're not the only ones who need hope. Let us gather the village, share what we found together in that chapel. Joy swelled within Sarah, but apprehension lingered. Could they truly invite others to explore the divine mysteries? What if their village met the revelations with skepticism instead of belief? But the tenderness in David's gaze pushed her doubts aside. Together, they could change hearts. After breakfast, they walked to church, hand in hand, the village waking around them. Children played, and neighbors greeted each other with smiles, simple moments that brought radiant joy. Everything seemed alive with possibility. As they approached the chapel, Sarah felt the thrum of energy from just a day before a vibrant echo of faith that pulsed through the air. When they stepped inside, the congregation looked up, curiosity painted on every face. Sarah's heart raced as she climbed the steps to the pulpit, the manuscript nestled in her arms. Beloved friends, God has shown us that miracles are real. Her voice gained strength as she spoke about David's healing, the fervent prayers, and the quantum truths that illuminated their journey. As she continued, she noticed a man at the back of the chapel, his face shadowed by doubt. She had seen him before, perpetually skeptical, arms crossed, a fortress of disbelief. Some might question if this can truly be God's hand at work, she declared, her voice steady. But my friends, God exists in the intersections. Science and spirit dance together to reveal his glory. With that, a ripple of murmurs passed through the pews. Some nodded in agreement, while others exchanged skeptical glances. Would they embrace this new understanding? Sarah sensed the tension, a collective breath held in expectation. Then, David stood beside her. What if we are all called to explore this further? What if faith is not just a feeling but a force that drives us to seek? An energy that reshapes our understanding of the world? Encouragement flowed from him, textured and real, as he shared his thoughts on the manuscript, the truths that stirred enlightenment and reverence. Slowly, hands began to raise, questions formed like mist in the morning air, wishing to explore together this mysterious amalgamation of faith and science. And as the conversation opened, possibility danced between them like soft sunlight filtering through the leaves. Yet in the midst of this joyous awakening, Sarah still felt those shadows of doubt lingering, like quiet clouds on the horizon. What would they uncover in this new path? What other mysteries awaited? As voices melded together in spirited discussion, the air electric with unspoken excitement and fear, one question hung above the congregation, echoing against the chapel walls. What wonders would unfold if they dared to believe even further into the depths of divine mystery? As the conversations flowed, Sarah felt her spirit lift. The air buzzed with anticipation, each question from the congregation a new thread woven into the tapestry of faith they were crafting together. David remained by her side, a steadfast presence grounding her resolve. The glimmers of hope seemed to weave their way through the close-knit community, and for moments, the shadows of doubt fell back. Sarah, a familiar voice called from the crowd, breaking through her thoughts. It was Agnes, a wise woman with gentle eyes that had witnessed both joy and sorrow. What are these truths you speak of? How can they help us in our daily struggles? With a nurturing smile, Sarah replied, Agnes, these truths shine light on the beauty of God's creation. They show us that reality is more than what we see. We're invited into a profound relationship with the Creator, one that intertwines our lives with His divine purpose. There was a stirring in the congregation. Some nodded, while others leaned in, eager to absorb her every word. Yet, she understood there were still hearts that hesitated. The manuscript reveals how divine love acts in the world. Miracles aren't just rare events. They're moments saturated with God's presence. They remind us that we live in a universe woven with sacred energy. As she spoke, the gray clouds of skepticism hanging in the corners of the chapel began to dissipate. Faces once marked by doubt softened with curiosity. David added, Imagine if we viewed every challenge, every heartache, as a chance to glimpse something more divine, a pathway to understanding ourselves and our spirit. What we discovered is not just for us. It's a revelation for all who seek. The congregation buzzed with new questions. Can we harness this energy? A young man dared to ask, his eyes bright with wonder. How do we let faith drive our actions? Sarah felt a bubbling excitement rise within her. We harness it by opening our hearts, uniting our minds with love, and trusting that God's guidance will reveal our next steps. It starts with belief, a choice to surrender our doubts and embrace hope. The energy shifted, embodying the miracles that swirled among them. With fresh courage, Sarah suggested, what if we explore these truths together? We can form a group to seek deeper understanding, a place for discussions, questions, and prayer. We can walk this journey side by side. A murmur of agreement rippled through the pews, a spiritual synchrony resonating like a choir lifting their voices. In that moment, they were no longer just a congregation. They were a community eager to embrace the divine mysteries awaiting them. But just as hope blossomed, Sarah noticed the man at the back again. He stood, his arms still crossed, yet his brow creased with contemplation. What if it's all a delusion? He challenged, eyes fixed on her. What if we are simply fooling ourselves? A hush fell over the crowd. A tense silence enveloped them, yet deep inside, Sarah felt a stirring. This was not a foe, but an opportunity. Sometimes, the greatest doubts are invitations to a deeper faith, she replied slowly, her voice steady. Your questions are valid. It's through wrestling with doubt that we can find genuine belief. David added, Life isn't about erasing doubts, but integrating them with faith. God invites us to ask, to ponder, and to seek. If you're open to it, perhaps your journey can ignite the path for others. The man's expression softened, uncertainty mingling with intrigue. And what if I choose to believe? What does this mean for me? Hope surged through the room like a tide. Sarah smiled warmly and replied, It means you are embarking on an adventure that could transform not just your own life, but the lives of others. You have the chance to unlock not just your potential, but the miraculous possibilities of this community. As the congregation buzzed with newfound energy and excitement about forming a group, Sarah felt a tremendous wave surge through her, a divine affirmation filling her spirit. Yet, beneath that beautiful wave, a current of uncertainty still swirled. As the lights flickered softly in the growing dusk, a new direction beckoned, revealing new paths yet hidden. But what deeper truths would they discover? What might lay awaiting them in their explorations? The questions lingered in the air, heavy with the promise of something extraordinary. The journey had only just begun, and the answers might be beyond what they had ever imagined. The murmurs in the chapel rose and fell like the gentle waves of a sea stirred by the wind. Sarah looked across the faces before her, each one a canvas of longing and hope. There was an energy in that sacred space, one that bound them together in a shared mission to uncover divine truths. As the congregation discussed forming their group, the young man who had spoken earlier stepped forward again, genuine curiosity illuminating his features. How do we start? What steps do we take to dig deeper? His eagerness was infectious, prompting others to lean in, many clinging to the edge of their seats. Let us begin with the basics, Sarah suggested, her voice calm and guiding. We'll spend time in prayer together. Prayer opens our hearts and minds to receive God's wisdom. It's our first step in tapping into the divine energy we've been discussing. Agnes interjected, and I believe sharing our own experiences with faith can illuminate those truths for others. Each story carries the essence of God's grace. We might even inspire one another. Exactly, David said, his eyes sparkling. Every testimony can serve as a beacon of hope. We can meet weekly to share, pray, and learn together. I can help facilitate discussions, perhaps even guide us in exploring the manuscript more deeply. The excitement in the room swelled, and it felt as though a river of spirit flowed through them, uniting them in purpose. Sarah could see a flicker of belief igniting within the hearts of many. But the man at the back, still wrestling with uncertainty, raised his hand again. What about those of us who feel stuck? What if it seems too daunting to even start? That's where grace comes in, Sarah replied, her heart warm with compassion. Starting is not about having perfect faith. It's about being willing to take that first step, even if it's small. God meets us where we are. A hush settled once more, and in that silence, the space became sacred. Each person in the room began to ponder their individual journeys, the struggles that had once clouded their hearts now shimmering with the promise of possibility. David leaned forward, his earnestness piercing through the stillness. We must remember, doubt can coexist with faith. It's okay to feel uncertain. That uncertainty is fertile ground for transformation. You do not have to walk this road alone. We walk together. As they embraced this truth, a sense of vulnerability unfolded. Glances turned toward the man who had spoken. A few offered tentative nods of solidarity, signaling to him that he was not an outcast in his questions. Perhaps, in this space of shared struggle, they could all find healing. With a newfound commitment, a wave of voices began to rise, each person affirming their desire to embark on this spiritual journey together. Assertions of "I will" and "I want to learn" filled the room, creating an uplifting chorus woven from hope. Just as Sarah felt buoyed by the warmth of community, a flicker of light from the corner of her eye drew her attention. It was a reflection. An ethereal glow seemed to dance at the chapel's edge, radiating vibrantly, shimmering through the gathering dusk. Everyone quieted, their faces turning toward the source. "What is that?" someone whispered, an air of reverence mingling with curiosity. Feeling a pulse of divine energy, Sarah instinctively closed her eyes as she opened her heart wider. She sensed the presence of something sacred, a calling that transcended human understanding. What would that light reveal to them? But before answers could take shape, a soft whisper filled the air, "Seek, and you shall find." Time felt suspended. Hearts raced and breath quickened. The unknown beckoned, a divine, tantalizing mystery waiting to unfold. What revelation awaited this community of seekers in the shimmering glow? Would the light guide them to greater truths, or perhaps an unexpected divine intervention? Their journey was merely beginning, and a wondrous adventure lay ahead. The glow grew brighter, illuminating the chapel like the dawn breaking over the horizon. Each flickering light seemed to dance in rhythm with the heartbeat of those gathered, filling the air with a divine anticipation. Sarah opened her eyes, and her breath caught in her throat as the Spirit's radiance embraced the room, wrapping each soul in an energy almost palpable. "Do you feel that?" David whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. The congregation leaned towards one another as if seeking to share in that sacred warmth. "Yes," Agnes nodded, her voice trembling with emotion. "It's as if the very heavens have opened up, welcoming us into something monumental." A hushed reverence enveloped them. Questions swirled in their minds, but clarity whispered through their hearts. This was more than a casual gathering. It was a summons to embark on an extraordinary adventure that transcended their human limitations. "Let us pray," Sarah proposed, her spirit soaring. They all bowed their heads, surrendering to the mystical moment. "Lord, guide us. Let your light lead us to wisdom and understanding. May we see the truths hidden before us." As they prayed, the flickering light converged into a luminous beam that shot down toward the chapel floor, illuminating an ancient manuscript in the corner. The sight was mesmerizing. The pages appeared aglow, a golden relic that beckoned with power and promise. "Look, what is that?" someone cried out, pointing toward the radiant manuscript. Excitement burst through their solemnity, erupting into whispers of awe and disbelief. Stepping cautiously toward the light, Sarah felt a magnetic pull toward the book, each step a prayer in itself. She reached out, her fingers brushing against the delicate pages. A surge of energy coursed through her, filling her spirit with heavenly truth. She understood in that moment. This manuscript was a vessel of divine revelation. "Gather around," she called, her voice firm with purpose. The group moved closer, drawn like moths to a flame. Compelled by curiosity and love, they encircled the glowing manuscript, eager to witness what it contained. As moments passed, the initial rush of excitement gave way to stillness. Together they peered at the elegant script, filling the pages a harmony of divine wisdom and prophetic insight, revealing the mysteries of faith, grace, and the interconnectedness of their experiences. Each truth here speaks of God's profound love and how we are woven into the fabric of His creation. Sarah began, her voice soft, yet filled with conviction. These are not just words. They are invitations to deepen our relationship with the divine. David leaned in closer, his eyes scanning the text. "Look at this. In the journey of faith, doubt is the seed of revelation." What a beautiful way to paint our struggles. Agnes smiled, tears shimmering, reflecting both joy and understanding. This echoes the conversations we've had. It's as if God has laid out the map we were seeking. Sarah's heart swelled with a sense of unity and shared purpose. Together, they were stepping into a new realm of understanding, one filled with divine connections that transcended human limits. Yet, as they absorbed the wisdom unfolding before them, a deeper question lingered in the air. If each revelation held the key to their hearts, what more awaited them in the rest of the manuscript? What challenges might they have to face as they dove deeper into the truths that lay ahead? Just then, as if in response, the light pulsed once more, and the whispers came back, this time urging them on. Seek, and you shall discover the unfathomable truths of creation. The room, filled with both fear and hope. They had taken a significant step forward, but now the path before them felt more complex than ever. How would they navigate the revelations that awaited them? What sacrifices might they have to make for transformation? In that sacred moment, they realized their endeavor had only just begun. The warm glow continued to bathe the chapel, pulling their hearts into the sacred moment. As the congregation's eyes adjusted to the light, they felt compelled to share their thoughts. Sarah gently broke the silence, her voice a conduit for the Spirit. Let us take turns reading from the manuscript, sharing what speaks to us. Tension melted from the air as they began to engage with the text, excitement bubbling like a spring. David read a passage aloud. In the silence of the heart, the voice of God is heard most clearly. His voice was steady, yet his eyes shimmered with awe. That's it, Agnes exclaimed, her heart racing. We often overlook the beauty of silence. It is there God whispers guidance and comfort. Encouraged, Evelyn, a shy member of the group, joined the conversation. Sometimes, I feel adrift in my doubts. Yet this reminds me that quiet moments can lead to immense revelations. There's purpose in our pauses with every reading. The manuscript revealed layers of truth, peeling away doubts, illuminating hope. They shared their reflections, voices overlapping like joyous choruses, each hum of agreement bolstering their spirit. As the readings continued, they reached a section that spoke about the power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the chains of bitterness, Sarah recited, her heart heavy yet hopeful. It offers freedom, not just for others, but for ourselves. David leaned in. That is powerful. Holding on to grudges can imprison us. It's a barrier to experiencing God's love fully. Agnes folded her hands in prayer. Isn't it wonderful? Through forgiveness, we can heal our relationships and ourselves. The energy in the room shifted, a deep understanding blossoming within each heart present. The essence of their shared journey was becoming clearer. The group realized that every truth unveiled by the manuscript carried the possibility of transforming their lives and relationships. Yet, the deeper they sank into these revelations, the more the implications of each truth weighed on their hearts. The warmth that enveloped them felt inviting, but also charged with responsibility. How would they embody these lessons outside the chapel's comforting glow? Suddenly, the manuscript pulsed again, and an exhilarating vibration filled the air. What is happening? Sarah asked, her pulse quickening. A page turned of its own accord, stopping at yet another revelation. Every act of love is a seed, planted in eternity. What can that mean? David pondered aloud. Are our small acts more significant than we realize? It seems to suggest that our choices extend beyond this life. Agnes replied thoughtfully. Every kindness ripples across time and space. As they processed this new depth, the door swung open with a soft creak. A cool breeze swept through the room, carrying with it a slight rustling of pages followed by faint whispers that tantalized their hearts. They turned to see the faint outline of a figure standing at the entrance, their presence radiating calm yet profound mystery. Who is that? Evelyn whispered, her voice barely a thread against the growing atmosphere of uncertainty. They leaned closer, curiosity piqued. The figure stepped forward, revealing an enchanting smile that held a world of wisdom. You are just beginning to explore the truths that can reshape your lives and the lives around you. He paused, his gaze sweeping over the group. But know this, with each revelation, there comes a choice. Will you take the leap into the unknown, or will fear hold you back? As his words resonated in their hearts, a storm of emotions swirled through the room, a mixture of excitement and trepidation filled with infinite possibilities. What lay before them? How would they respond to this divine invitation? In that moment, They realized their journey might involve not just revelations, but also their transformation, where even the smallest seeds of love could branch into a much larger calling. With the figure's presence still echoing in their minds, they felt a growing urgency. What decisions awaited them? Did they have the courage to step into the divine unknown? The answers loomed just ahead, beckoning them to venture forth. The figure before them took a step closer, the flickering light accentuating the serene lines of his face. He held an aura of warmth that drew them into his presence. "You stand on the precipice of change," he said, his voice soft yet resounding. "Every soul in this room is divinely chosen. You have been called to plant seeds of love, but also to nurture them." A profound silence enveloped the chapel, where the clarity of his words hung in the air, thick with expectation. Sarah's heart fluttered. Uncertainty mingled with excitement. This moment felt heavy with purpose, the kind of purpose that transformed ordinary days into extraordinary journeys. "What do you mean by nurturing them?" David found his voice. "Are we to foster our love in practical ways?" The figure nodded gently, his expression encouraging. "Indeed, love can be expressed in countless forms through words, gestures, and even thoughts. The seeds you plant, however small, can grow into something magnificent. Imagine the impact of your kindness, a ripple in a pond, reaching shores unseen." Agnes leaned forward, enthusiasm sparking in her eyes. "So, even our smallest actions matter? Every time we help someone, every kind word at all carries weight?" "Absolutely," he replied, his smile widening like the dawn breaking. "Love doesn't need to be grand to be meaningful. In fact, the smallest sparks can ignite the most potent flames. Think of it, how often have you felt the warmth of a compliment or a simple smile? That is the seed in action." A stirring began in Evelyn's heart, as if awakening from a slumber. "And when we feel fear in sharing that love, how do we overcome that?" The figure's gaze deepened, filled with an understanding that seemed to transcend time itself. Fear is often a cloaked messenger of growth. It whispers doubts and holds you back, but facing it only reveals strength you never knew you had. When you choose to act in love despite fear, you strip it of its power. In that breathless moment, the truth settled like dew upon their souls. Each of them had faced fears, many of them unacknowledged. It was in this sacred space that they recognized a shared vulnerability, a communal tapestry of both struggle and possibility. "Let us not only talk, but also act," Sarah proposed, her resolve ignited. "What if we made a commitment right here, to consciously plant love in our lives this week?" "Yes," exclaimed David, his eyes shining. "Let us create a challenge. Each of us can look for small ways to weave acts of kindness into our daily routines." Agnes nodded vigorously. "And we can share these experiences in our next gathering. It will be like nurturing our seeds together." As the conversation swirled with ideas, the figure stepped back slightly, watching with an amused smile. It felt as if the very air buzzed with potential, an electric current linking their intention to the heart of the divine. "I invite you to take a moment in quiet reflection, to ponder the seeds you wish to sow," he said, his voice as gentle as a summer breeze. "Allow your hearts to whisper to you, and let that guidance unfold in your actions." The congregation fell silent, eyes closing, hands opening. A serene stillness wrapped around them, each heart becoming a canvas for divine inspiration. And in the stillness, each person felt a knowing, a divine whisper dancing on their hearts. This was more than just a personal journey. It was a collective movement towards love, toward choices that echoed beyond this very moment. As the soft glow of the chapel enveloped them once more, they felt a surge of joy, a bright promise that spoke of futures untold. They opened their eyes together, finding themselves eager, standing on the brink of possibility. With anticipation crackling in the air, the figure turned with a knowing smile, drawing their gaze back to the manuscript. "Remember, every ending is a new beginning. Are you ready for what comes next?" The group exchanged glances, an unspoken agreement flowing between them. Excitement stirred yet again, knowing their journey had just begun. The chapel was filled with an air of expectation, as though the very walls were holding their breath. The figure lingered momentarily, eyes twinkling with a depth that made every heart feel seen. "You have embraced the call," he said softly, "but the season of planting demands patience, faith, most importantly, action. Taken aback by his words, Sarah felt her pulse quicken. She had always associated love with gentleness, but now she sensed a fierce urgency rising within her. What does that mean in real terms? She asked, her voice steady despite the whirlwind of thoughts in her mind. The figure smiled knowingly, taking a step forward, his presence bolstering her courage. It means seeing every encounter as an opportunity, a chance to be the embodiment of love. Whether it is in the grocery store, at your workplace, or even in your home, each moment is a sacred encounter. Ask yourself, how can love be expressed in this situation? David shifted in his seat, his brow furrowing in contemplation. It sounds simple, but his voice trailed off, and he hesitated, unsure if he wanted to voice the doubts that gnawed at him. The figure drew closer, understanding the weight of his reservations. Speak it freely, David, he encouraged gently. Your uncertainties are not barriers. They are bridges to understanding. Taking a deep breath, David continued. What if our small acts feel insignificant? What if no one notices? The figure nodded, the light catching his features as he spoke. Such thoughts are whispered by doubt. Remember, you are not responsible for how others receive your love. Your job is to sow it. When the sun shines and the rain comes, the seed will flourish in its own time. A ripple of reflection passed through the group. Evelyn whispered, so it's about trusting in the divine process? Even if the fruits are unseen? Yes, affirmed the figure, a soft smile adorning his face. Faith thrives in the quiet moments when doubt tries to drown your voice. In patiently nurturing your seeds of love, you trust that something beautiful stirs beneath the surface, even in the darkness. A serene calmness began to envelop them, as if they were cradled in the arms of a greater understanding. Agnes raised her hand, her voice bright with determination. Then let us make it a daily practice, to not only seek out opportunities, but also to share our stories of love. Sharing will strengthen our resolve. Exactly, David responded, his excitement bubbling over. From now on, let's hold each other accountable. Next week, we can gather and reveal the love we've shared and the moments it blossomed. The figure stepped back, watching as their energy surged with newfound purpose. Go forth and let love guide your actions. In each act of kindness, you're not just planting. You're building a sanctuary for the weary, an oasis in the desert for longing hearts. At this, a glimmering of revelation surged in each individual. They began to envision how their actions, even the smallest ones like a smile to a stranger or helping a friend, could add up to something great. Outside, the sun began its descent, casting warm hues of orange and gold through the chapel windows, casting divine light on their faces. It was a reminder of possibilities yet to unfold, and the group felt an unmistakable energy stirring within them. Let this week be a testament, the figure continued, to the power of collective love. Now, open your hearts and make a choice to act in faith. With an unspoken agreement, they nodded together, hearts racing with anticipation. As if on cue, they closed their eyes once more, each preparing to set their intentions, ready to embrace the week ahead with boldness. And as they settled into that sacred stillness, a thought lingered: what miracles awaited them in this act of love? They were on the edge of a journey that held the promise of divine encounters, and they hardly knew what was to come. Yet, the question hung in the air like incense rising to heaven. When will the seeds of their hearts burst forth into bloom? What glorious revelations awaited them, just beyond their grasp? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows inside the chapel, a sense of anticipation filled the air. Each member of the group held their breath, contemplating not just what they would do, but how they would feel when embodying the love they had all vowed to share. Sarah opened her eyes, the flickering candlelight reflecting in her vision. What if we made this more than just a week of kindness? What if this became our new way of life? The words hung in the air, a mix of challenge and inspiration. Encouraged by her thoughts, David felt a surge of hope. Yes, why not see every day as a canvas? With each act of love, we paint a story that could touch even the most hardened heart. How thrilling it felt to give life to possibilities previously lying dormant. Evelyn added, but how do we keep that momentum? Life can be draining, and doubt has a way of creeping in. Her voice trembled slightly, the fear of failing to live up to their aspirations evident. The figure, observing their exchange, raised a finger thoughtfully. Each day may have its shadows, but remember, the light is always present. You must return to the intentions you set now and ground yourselves in them. Allow love to become the beacon guiding your feet, especially in the darker moments. When doubt whispers, let love roar back in defiance. A silence deepened as they all absorbed his words. A moment of awakening passed through the group, an intangible connection wrapping around their hearts. Something transformative was taking root between them, a community ready to manifest love in action. Agnes turned to her companions, her eyes shining. Let us not only share our stories of love, but also create a journal. We can document our trials, our triumphs, and our most divine encounters. That way, we can reflect on our journey together. Brilliant, David exclaimed. It will remind us of how love flows, even when we feel unseen. Each person felt the warmth of that idea, how it could serve as a compass through their week. As their discussion deepened, the figure's voice flowed gently among them, filling the chapel with a profound peace. Your hunger for connection, for divine experiences, is a testament to your heart's desire to grow. Watch as the world opens up. Each person you encounter is a thread in the tapestry of your lives. As you weave your unique designs through love, you will see not only yourselves, but the beauty in others. Outside, the first stars began to appear, twinkling gently against the deepening twilight. Agnes breathed deeply, feeling the promise of the universe wrap around her. What if our acts of love lead to something bigger than us? What if we change lives we haven't even met yet? The figure smiled, a knowing light shimmering in his eyes. Ah, that is where true transformation lies. Love has a magical way of multiplying. It opens hearts and ignites sparks we cannot predict. Be prepared for surprises, because you are not only planting seeds, but also instilling hope into the hearts of many. Just then, a gentle breeze wafted through the open window, seemingly carrying the whispers of angels. The soft rustling of leaves outside echoed their growing anticipation. Sarah felt the stirring in her soul, a warmth blossoming deep within. I can already feel the energy shifting, as though the universe is responding to our intentions. Let us give thanks, shouted David, with a heart full of joy. They joined hands, forming a circle filled with a palpable energy. As their voices rose in unity, each heartbeat became a testament to their commitment, merging their hopes and dreams, gifting the world with the nectar of their love. With a final collective breath, they quieted their minds, feeling the divine presence among them. They opened their eyes to the soft glow within the chapel, their hearts infused with inspiration. Yet, amidst their fervor, questions lingered. What awaits them as they venture forth into the week? What miracles would unfold through their small seeds of love planted in the soil of their lives? In that moment of solemn reflection, the doors of unseen realms beckoned, whispering to them with irresistible allure. Could this be the week of wondrous revelations? In the heart of the quaint village, the sun began to rise again, pouring golden light through the chapel's stained glass windows, illuminating the faces of Sarah, David, Agnes, and their newfound community. Everything felt different, yet familiar. There was an electric buzz in the air, a divine promise that whispered of transformation, hope, and collective love. The seeds they had begun to plant were waking, and with them came the anticipation of discovery. As they gathered once more in the sacred space, an overwhelming sense of unity held them together. The essence of their shared commitment to love enveloped the congregation like a warm embrace. They felt ready, knowing that every small act, every gesture of kindness could lead to monumental change. Today is the beginning, Sarah said, her voice steady, full of faith. Let us not forget the power we possess when love flows through our actions. David smiled, his heart bursting with enthusiasm. Let us break into pairs and take the love out into the community today. Each moment is an opportunity to plant seeds. A compliment, a helping hand, a listening ear. We are blessed to be messengers of that love. Evelyn felt her heart flutter. I can go with Agnes. Together, we can visit the elderly home, share stories, and bring little gifts. It might brighten their day. The excitement in her voice sparked eagerness in others, and soon the chapel brimmed with laughter and anticipation of their shared mission. As pairs formed and plans unfolded, Sarah felt a familiar pull in her heart, an ache for deeper understanding. But remember, dear friends, she said gently, let us take a moment before we scatter. Let us pray for guidance and clarity, for each act to shine light upon our path. Silence settled among them, blending with the sunlight, as they bowed their heads in unity. As they prayed, the walls echoed their hopes and dreams, their longings for meaningful connections. There was something sacred in that moment, something that felt divine. The air shimmered with expectation, and for Sarah, it was as if God himself was listening. When the prayer concluded, they felt invigorated, embraced by purpose. The light that filled the room felt tangible now, a stirring of possibilities urging them forward. One by one, they stepped out into the world beyond the chapel, each heart a vessel carrying love, curiosity, and intention. Throughout the village, they encountered smiles, laughter, and surprises. David and Sarah, walking hand in hand, greeted neighbors with warmth and kindness. David's booming voice echoed joyfully in the streets, even as Sarah's quiet laughter filled the spaces of their encounters. Agnes and Evelyn entered the elderly home, where smiles danced on the faces of the residents. They shared stories that sparked laughter and tears alike, filling each heart with the music of connection. Yet, amidst the divine joy, they also faced challenges. A sharp word here, a closed door there. Doubt not only whispered, it shouted. But with every stumble, they turned to one another, offering hands, words, and the essential grace that kept their hearts aligned. The light they carried began to illuminate the shadows, gently guiding those they met toward hope. As the sun set on that miraculous day, the energy flowing through the village felt different, alive. When they reunited at the chapel, hearts were overflowing with testimonies of divine encounters. One man we met shared his struggles, Agnes reported, her voice trembling with emotion. In opening up, he rediscovered a sense of community he'd thought lost. The assembly erupted in applause, each miracle celebrated like a blossom coming into bloom. Then David stood up, eyes glimmering with excitement. Everyone, and I mean everyone, needs to know how love transforms everything it touches. Let us launch a community gathering next week. Share your stories of love, reflect on our encounters, and invite others in. As they discussed, the figure from before seemed to stand among them, his presence whispering divine encouragement, urging them to continue pushing boundaries, to welcome even the smallest of miracles. With every heartbeat, they felt closer, bonded not just by their shared stories, but also by a purpose that reached beyond themselves. Sarah looked at everyone, pride swelling within her. This community of seekers was not just learning from their encounters, they were embodying faith. As conversations flowed, an air of urgency took hold, a longing to manifest more, to dive deeper into the unknown, a pull toward greater truths, and love waiting to be awoken. Sarah lifted her hands, her heart pounding with divine illumination. Together, let us commit not only to love, but to share the love that beckons from the heavens. Cheers erupted as their vows echoed. They felt it, an explosion of divine energy pulling them onward toward an expansive future full of potential. But as the chapel quieted once more, it became clear while the journey had begun, many mysteries still awaited them. What wondrous truths lay in store, hidden behind the veil? How deeply would they dive into the depths of love, faith, and the divine? In that sacred silence, a final whisper curled around their hearts, an invitation etched in eternity. Are you ready to discover the fullness of love? And in unison, they felt a resounding affirmation bloom within, ready to embrace a journey that would lead them into the heart of God's miraculous presence. Now, dear friends, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on these next exclusive faith stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and let's get this message out. Comment below with your reactions and testimonies about what this journey means to you. And don't wait even one more second to share this message with at least 5 friends who need to see this divine manifestation. Together as true servants of God, we will carry this light further and brighter into the world.